Later this morning, the Senate Banking Committee will hold a hearing to consider the index fund voting process. While there are currently no Democrats co-sponsoring the bill, the Republican-drafted legislation focuses on corporations' voting power, specifically the big three money managers, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street Global Advisors. Joining us now with more, Senator Pat Toomey, lead Republican on the Banking Committee and a co-sponsor of the bill. And we've talked about it endlessly on Squawk Box, Senator. And I remember when we initially started talking about it, it was so patently, glaringly odd that the owner of ETFs would take the initiative to vote the shareholders on issues that were really sort of dear to the person running BlackRock. The whole notion seems so outlandish. I thought the market could fix things. I thought people would vote, but if you really like the job that the company's doing, other people say, hey, these people, they really don't follow these issues very well, and they don't vote their proxy material. So we, as really smart people that do the right thing, we should be able to vote.
Right.
That's what you hear, but they know that's not true. And won't they correct this on themselves? Do we need a law? They can't continue this.
Well, they've been doing it for a long time, Joe, and I agree. It's kind of jarring when you step back and think about it, especially in the context of the overall tremendous democratization of our capital markets and investment options. You know, you look at the collapse of commissions and free trading and friendly apps, and the fact that so many more Americans are investors now than ever before. And hey, if you invest in an actively managed fund, then I think the active manager should make those calls, because you're hiring that person to maximize your return. But for the millions of Americans who are simply trying to get a return that replicates an index, it's a completely passive exercise on the part of the manager, they shouldn't be voting those shares. And I think that maybe the market is moving in that direction anyway, but it certainly hasn't gotten very far, and we have seen recent examples where these votes are being cast in ways that can't possibly reflect the wishes of certainly not all investors, maybe not even a majority.
Do you need legislation? What are the chances? And I hate to be cynical, but you're not going to get any Democratic support, because these three firms that you're talking about, the way they're voting the shares is near and dear to the Democrats on all the issues. Now, I don't know what would happen. Take any of those social issues that we know BlackRock votes on, and take the opposite side. Just think about it. Think about the outrage that you would see demonstrations outside these guys' houses if they voted the other way.
Right. So what I'm hoping is that people will look at this as a matter of principle. As a matter of principle, who should have the final say in how to cast these votes? Look, I'm willing to live with the outcome of however it is. I just think that the actual owner should be able to make that call.
Right. You think it'd pass with just Republican backing, and with, as I said, they love the way it's like you think they're going to regulate Twitter when they love what the people that Twitter block?
There are some Democrats who are concerned about the consolidation of power, about the fact that this means there are three individuals who have enormous power over all of corporate America because of the power of the votes that they control. I know that does cause concern among some of my Democratic colleagues. So I'm hopeful that we can make a compelling case. Hey, how can it be wrong for the investors to be able to vote based on their own money? How can that be wrong? So we'll see, Joe. I mean, we're going to take a very aggressive run at this. Senator Dan Sullivan, whom you've had on the show, I know
another
a number
Republican.
Of times.
You're going to get nowhere.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think there is probably a very broad support among Republicans, but I think it goes beyond that.
Senator, what have the heads of any of these companies had to say to you? Because it doesn't seem like it's a tough concept to get. In fact, at times when we've spoken to Larry Fink about it, he's said, yes, we're working on a way to allow people to do this, to have their own vote. It seems like a fairly obvious, it's my shares, I should be able to vote them. What have they said to you when you've brought this up?
Yeah, so far in our conversations, I've gotten the sense that they accept that we have a strong point here. I think Larry has said publicly that he acknowledges that this makes sense. So operationally, there's some challenges, certainly, right? We don't expect that the average retail investor is going to be making a specific decision about every conceivable, proxy vote that he could cast. But there are mechanisms by which a person could select a default, for instance. So these things are manageable. I think the leadership of these firms are going to work constructively. I mean, if the legislation gets traction, they'll certainly work constructively to move in this
Senator,
direction.
overall ESG, do you think that, okay, it's gone up. Do you think it just grows to the tree, or goes to it's a tree that grows all the way to the heavens, or do you think that there comes a time where they, I don't know, are there benefit? People feel good, I guess, but do they outperform other indices, and are there negative unintended consequences like what we've seen with defunding fossil fuel production and take your pick?
Yeah, no, there are huge, I assume unintended negative consequences, although in some cases that's not entirely clear. But yeah, I think there'll be a correction at some point, Joe. I mean, most investors don't want to use their investment, don't want to have corporate America be the moral police of the country, and I think we've gone overboard.
It's funny.
I think there'll be a correction.
It's weird, Senator, because if you told the left that you're giving the moral authority to corporations, I mean, what does the left usually think of corporations? They're causing all the inflation. They're price gouging. They're creating trillionaires.
Dominated
they're not paying
by greed.
taxes.
Yeah,
so they want to cede all the moral authority to the same people that they
they castigate on a daily basis. Yes, it appears.
Have they thought that through?
Well, we're
going to miss you. We're going to miss you.
We're going to try to make some progress on this.
You think that? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Oz is in?
I think Dr. Oz is a very strong candidate. I think he wins the election in Pennsylvania.
You do?
Yes,
in Pennsylvania?
I do. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Senator. We'll see you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay. You're welcome.